Prognosis, prognosis, prognosis.
Hey, I have not talked about progressive rock yet much in this prognosis thing I'm doing. So let's talk about some new stuff that has come out in the last few months. Yes, Heaven and Earth. Ouch. I actually don't mind. Okay, I would prefer John Anderson in his prime, but I don't mind so much that John Davidson, the ersatz replacement singer, has sung on this record, CD, album, whatever. Does a pretty good job, I think. He's got a fairly John Anderson type voice, but the music, the CD as a whole, there's a couple good songs on it. I mean, as an okay, not fabulous. Believe Again, first song, and the last song, Subway Walls. Those aren't too bad, and maybe one or two other ones that I can stand. Just not near as good as, what was the previous one? We Can Fly From Here, or whatever the heck that was. Maybe because they had old material they could use with that, and it was a little more established. I don't know. And David Benoit, or Benoit David, or whatever the heck the guy's name was, who was the first substitute singer, he did a pretty good job with that stuff too. Ironically, he kind of sounded like Trevor Horn in places. So, not listening to that, didn't buy it. Did hear it online enough to know that I might buy a few of the tracks, but not the whole thing. Oh, the new IQ CD. I'm not a massive neo-prog type of guy. I did like Marillion in the 80s, mostly. I think they kind of peaked after Clutching at Straws. Didn't mind the new guy in the new lineup, Steve What's-His-Face. So anyway, IQ, I only got into IQ probably in the last 5 or 6 years, and it really was, what was the CD called? Dark Matter. That's the reason I got into them. Very well done. Earlier IQ, I can't really handle the lead singer's voice too much. For some reason, what used to be a liability kind of turned into an asset, as I think I heard someone say online, which very aptly describes my reaction to the singer as well. I like him now. Some of the old stuff, Subterranea or before. Anyway, the new IQ. It's enjoyable. It is enjoyable as a piece. I got the double CD one. I guess it's got some extra tracks on the second CD. As far as I can tell, the second CD is perfectly on par quality-wise with the first CD. And what struck me as kind of obvious is there aren't that many solos, guitar or synth. There are some, but usually there's a melodic lead electric in a lot of their stuff, and not so much on this CD. Also some drum machines. I don't know, the whole vibe of the thing kind of came across more 80s. It was more neo-prog than prog, which, I don't know, kind of reminds me of their older stuff, musically anyway. Still enjoyable, but I don't know, felt like it could have been fleshed out quite a bit. And I guess out of all their catalog, Dark Matter, Frequency, and Seventh House would be my top 3. Not sure where this fits in with that, but anyway, I'm enjoying it. Just not as much as I thought I would. Just picked up, but haven't been able to listen to it much, the new Opeth, which is Pale Communion, that's what it's called. That, I think, is going to be my cup of tea. Just a really cool blending of kind of classic rock and classic prog. Very well done. What's-His-Face, the lead singer, guitarist, I can't remember his name right now. Just has a great voice. I really like the timbre of his voice. It's solid. And I wasn't a big fan of the old Opeth with the growling and the really metal-leaning playing. So if you were a fan of that Opeth, I'm sorry. But seems like they've moved on past that. What else? Oh, on the Garand Gadget frontier, Propellerhead Reason 8 is coming out in the next month or two, I think. I don't know if I'll get that immediately. now that they have MIDI out with the version 7, I can play my external synths easily enough. I like that. And speaking of external synths, I picked up a couple in the last 4 or 5 months. Picked up the Moog Sub 37 Fatty. I don't know if it's a Fatty Sub 37 or just a Sub 37. That thing rocks. That is fun. I'm really awesome, really happy. It is really awesome that they have close to a 1 knob per function panel to work with, and it sounds great too. Other thing I picked up was the Roland FA-06, which I guess is kind of a replacement for the Fantom. It has the supernatural acoustic sounds and the supernatural synth sounds and whatever else. I got it mostly for the supernatural synth sounds and the supernatural organ. Does a pretty good job. It does a much better job than the keyboard I bought last year. Of course, I only paid $500 for it, which was the Casio XPW1. That worked well for the first year, but the organ on that was just not to my liking. So anyway, I might throw some little tidbits on here about those pieces of gear and the new Reason 8. Well, like I said, I probably won't get the new Reason 8. But anyway, that's the update in the prog world and the gear world and the tech world and my world. And coming up very soon, I know I've promised this a couple times already, we're going to do a review of the Ferrofish B4000 Plus. This is the, I guess, kind of the offspring of the Creamware B4000 emulator or clone wheel thing hardware they made a few years ago. Creamware did several virtual analog synth models and their own gear, and I guess when the company died or went bankrupt, they evolved into Ferrofish, or some people from there did, and they took some of the stuff from their B4000 model and created this, and it is sweet. So that's it. I was drinking a beer, because I do talk about beer, but it's empty, so I guess I should be getting another one. Cheers.